Hello everyone and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today I am going to be showing you guys how we made this amazing double-decker rabbit duplex for our breeding rabbits. So step one was moving this big huge base to where I wanted it, which is right here with the other hutch, because that's super convenient. So one cool thing with this board that I'm going to be using, it originally was actually for a very large grandfather clock that my grandmother had ordered and shipped up from the United States. And it came in this huge box. And when she got it, she gave me the box, or the crate that it came in, which was this, and I turned it into a duck house, which is what was way over there with all of the pellets. And it worked awesome as a duck house, but we ended up deciding to get rid of the ducks. We had some predator problems, and it's been sitting there preserved under a sheet of plywood for the last 4 years. So when I uncovered it doing all the cleanup, I realized that all of the pieces of this crate were still in really good usable condition. So that is going to be the base today for my rabbit hutch, is this big crate that was used to ship up this grandfather clock. This is where I wanted it, and I have it level. I'm going to go grab the old chunks of linoleum that I had for the chick house to put on here to make for easy, quick cleaning. All right. Got my strip in the linoleum. It was just a couple inches short, but I knew that if I put another layer there, it would just get tangled up when you're trying to clean it. So I'm gonna just leave it like that for now. Now it's time to attach our brace beams. So we're going to need to build a frame off of this bottom beam here to attach all of our other posts. So we've got my boards laid out here that I'm going to use for my main frame beams. So I'm using 2x4s, and then I have this huge 2x6 that my husband milled the other day. It has a bit of rot in it, so he couldn't use it for what he wanted, but for this it'll be totally fine. So the plan is to have the roof on a slant so that water and rain will run off. So I'm going to need to do the back boards 53 inches, and then the front boards will need to be 48 inches tall so that we have that slope. So I decided to put the wire on the inside of the beams. That'll help so that the rabbits don't chew on it, and it keeps all the gaps closed. Now the husband kind of sort of took over the project, which I am grateful for. So we are going to hopefully get this finished a little bit faster so that we can get our bunny moved in. All right, it's starting to come together now that we got those boards in there. Now we just got to figure out how we're going to do more brace boards for the top so that we have the top and the bottom separate on our little duplex. So the husband was able to help quite a bit to get a really good head start on this thing. So we were able to get the platforms down for the next boxes and most of the framing finished. So what we have left now is I'm going to need to put a board along the top here as a brace so that I have something for the wire to attach to on the front, and also for the walls for the shelter. All right, so I got the nest box pieces in, so the top basic part is finished. So now we're just going to need to work on getting walls around the outside and the top, and then it should be good to go. All right, we got the backboard up and secured into place. So now that that is done, I need to, well, we're gonna need to patch that hole, but that's pretty minor. I'm gonna need to figure out what I'm going to use for boards on the ends here. The bottom is going to be wire with, it'll be wire with some boards to make a gate for the bottom, and then this will also open, but I need to find boards that'll fit here so that this is good to go. Okay, so I'll show you what I've got to so far. So for these ends, I'm wanting to build doors for this top portion here, because this is where the next boxes will be. So I attached 2x4 here so that the hinges of my door can sit here. Now this side had to be funky because this is a live edge poplar board, and so there's a big bubble in it, so I had to put the board underneath, but that's fine. The door will still sit here fine to open up. And I attached this board on here as a baseboard for the nest box so that when I open this down, no babies will fall out. So I did this on the other side for the other nest box as well. So you can see there's that nice board along there and the 2x4 along there to attach the hinges for the door. This side will be a lot easier because the door will be able to sit right in here to open down. And then we have the safety board here so that no babies fall out when we open the nest box door. I am loving how this turned out. Got the fronts on there. So now I can put the lino down in here in the nest boxes to make it way easier for cleanup. Okay, one side down, one side to go. Now I have to say I am very sad that I'm gonna have to cover up these beautiful live edge boards that my husband cut. But I know that over time these will rot really bad. So putting this linoleum down makes it way easier for cleanup, and it will salvage and save the flooring so we have a lot less rot. All right, have the other side done with its lino down. Now the next thing, I'm going to put some heavier duty staples in along these edges and the edges over there, just to make sure that it's on there nice and solid. And then I can start working on getting the doors made. So I need a door for here, a door for here. Those ones we decided we will actually screw in, and then if we needed to be able to get in there for easier cleaning, they will be easily removed. And then we'll need to build the doors for the ends, both sides, top and bottom. So once I got it all stapled in, I decided to cut the holes for them to access the lower level. So I cut the hole and then attached this board in here so that I have something to staple the wire to. And because I left the ends open, I can crawl underneath there and staple the wire from underneath. I will also be running a board from here across to the other side so that there's something to anchor this wire to on the other side. So it should stay quite solid and sturdy for them to be able to walk around and then access this bottom level. I'm going to just make sure it's lined up on the top there. Are those sticking up on the top?
No. They're perfect.
Okay. Okay, so I attached this board underneath. Now I'm just going to cut some boards to go here for an anchor for the ladders for going down into the hole. So we're just gonna do that quick. So we have our ramp cut out to length. We're gonna attach some rubber. This is old baler belts. So we're gonna attach this so that they have some good traction coming up and down the ladder so that they're more likely to use it and feel secure. Okay, the ladders are in. Got one there, one here. I have them on a hinge so that it makes it easier for cleaning to be able to just lift them up enough to be able to scrape the dirt out. So that should work really well. So now we're gonna work on the framing to separate the two pens. Top is done. Now we just need to do the separator for the bottom. So we finally got the bottom one in, and it was a bit of a struggle. We had issues because of the 2x6. So we had to make sure that we made it work to go around that on each side. So it was a bit of fine tuning, but it is in, it is solid, and it is secure. Started working on the nest box wall for the one side. I decided that it would be easier to just use boards we had laying around instead of cutting out a perfect shaped chunk of plywood, just because my workstation isn't that big for a piece of plywood. So this will be sufficient enough for a bunny. So there is a lot of space in here for a mama bunny. Into the nesting box, now that I finished the framing and the door, I went ahead and added another live edge piece here. It will help keep nesting material in the nest, and it will hopefully also help so that kits don't fall out of the nest box too bad. I'm debating putting an actual board along here, and I think I might do that just so that I can make sure that the mamas can keep the babies in the nest and they're less likely to get cold and freeze. I had another chunk of board that did work perfectly to be able to keep that in, so there is a really nice nest box area here for the bunnies to use that will help keep kits and materials in without them falling out. If they fall that way, there should be at least enough to protect them. And then there's still all this space so that when they are not raising babies, they still have all of this covered protection area for bad weather and such. So this bunny hutch project has been going a little bit slower than I had anticipated. This is about the 6th day now that I have been working on it, but it is slowly coming together to be exactly how I wanted. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what I did yesterday and what needs to be finished today. So yesterday I put the fronts on. I'm calling them like the windows because they look like beautiful big bay windows. So what ended up happening here was a little different than what I had anticipated, but I wanted them to have enough space. And I wanted it to be removable, so there's only 4 screws in each of these corners. So this whole piece just comes out, so that if I needed to do a little bit more cleaning in that area or anything, that it can be completely removed and cleaned inside. So I did the same thing here. If I had wanted to do the idea where it was totally removable, it would have left them with a much smaller piece of window. And rabbits love the sunshine and sunning, and they need the vitamin D. So I made sure that my windows were big enough that if they were on the top floor, they would be getting some sunshine. So that is what I have got to so far, which means that the only thing that we have left is all of the doors. So we need a door for the top, we need a door for the bottom. On the other side, we need that same thing as well. And then we're also going to need the roof. First things first, I'm going to need to measure a board between these 2 2x4s to fill in that gap there, so that we don't have little bunnies falling out or feet getting stuck inside. All right, so I have this 2x4 wedged in here. It's not actually screwed down to anything, but it's secured on there enough that it should keep that gap sealed. And then when it comes to cleaning, it can easily just be pulled out and removed. And then this 2x6 I attached here along the whole bottom so that I had something to attach my hinges to for the gates. So before getting this gate fully made, I realized that I should attach the hinges before I attach my brace board along the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the 2 hinges for the gate here on the bottom. All right, there it is. And it works like a beaut. I like that it comes down the way it does, kind of like a ramp. So when you're cleaning it out, it will be easy to work around, easy to work on. It's solid birch boards that my husband milled, so it is very sturdy. The only thing we're gonna have to do is figure out how to latch it on the top there. Other than that, it's looking really sharp. While it's fresh in my mind how I did the other side, I'm gonna go ahead and do this side now so that it makes the whole process just a little bit easier for me, and then I'll work on the top doors after. All right, got a removable board here and our 2x6 to hold our hinges. And I'm going to use this chunk here for this door. I only had 3 of these chunks, which is why I made the door for the other side, but I can use this one for this side. And then I have the other 2 chunks for the top doors. So here it is. Now these doors, the only purpose is really just to provide some shade and wind block, because the bottom is not, it's all open anyways. So I only did 1 hinge on this one just because it is very thin, which is why I explained that like it doesn't need to be very heavy duty. The other side I just needed to make a door and use the extra spare chunks of wood I had. So this side is finished. Now I'm gonna go ahead and move on to our top nest boxes. So for these, I do want it to be quite snug and quite protected. So I'm going to build the door within this framed area here. So I'm gonna need to measure from the inside to the inside. The other challenge I'm going to have on this one is that the top is sloped. So I'm gonna need to try and get it as sloped as possible. So this part was a little bit interesting because of the slant for the roof. So I made sure I measured it so that if there was a board, like the board that will be the roof will attach from the back and rest on the front. So from there, that is about as perfect as I'm gonna be able to get it. So I like that. Now I am planning on attaching this board now with the hinges that I have. And then once I get the hinges on, I will add some 1x4s all the way around the edge just to help fill in some of these gaps to make sure that it is nice and cozy inside. All right, there it is. I used an old chunk of 2x4 to fill that gap a little bit so it wasn't quite so big. This one, I'm hoping when I build the roof that I will be able to cap that off properly. And then I'm not gonna worry about the bottom because I added a board on the inside to keep it nice and sealed. All right, the other door is officially done. This one stayed nice and smooth and flat. My hinges were a little too long, but that doesn't affect the bottom door at all. It still closes up really nice. This one, I was able to keep the piece more solid to follow the line for the roof a little bit better. So this side, we learned from the other side, so the second side was a little bit easier and a little bit nicer. First set of latches complete. That'll work perfect. Another side done. All right, so for the bottoms, I decided that for now I would just use screws. So there's just 2 screws on the top to secure it, and then when it's time to clean it, you just unscrew the 2 screws and it's done. Eventually it would be nice to do some latches, but for now, this project has already taken a week and I'd like to just move on to the next part. So I have decided that since I have some leftover hinges, I'm thinking I might get these front windows to open as well and turn them into doors instead of just windows, because I have the extra hinges. So I'm gonna work on that now, on how I want to attach the hinges to turn these into extra doors. All right, here we go. I did have 2 little hinges, so I saved them for this project. Once I just attached the hinges to it, undid the screws that were holding it in, and that was it. Then it just needed a latch to hold it closed. Opens really easy, latch is awesome. It'll be perfect for having quick access. So we'll have doors on the front. We have the doors to the nest boxes to check kits. And we have the doors on the ends for underneath for cleaning. Now we just need to get the roof on. Okay, so I got a top on it. I just used an old sheet of chipboard that we had and attached some hinges to the back. I ended up putting boards on it just because this isn't super sturdy. So for the hinges, I want it to be attached to something pretty strong. And I do have quite a bit of old tin kicking around, so I am going to put tin on it so it has a nice finished tin roof. All right, well, by some miracle, the tin was the perfect width. All we had to do was trim the length on this other end, but it was the perfect width. It completely covers all over the doors, with still the doors being able to open on the end. Here's this side where I had to trim it. Oh, it turned out so beautiful. So the only thing that I need to do for the finishing touches is that I wanted to put some trim around these edges because it'll help hold the wire in place and it'll make it look nice and finished. Okay, it is officially completed. We got the nice trim boards here. Flip it around. Nice trim boards in the back. It's ready to be moved. There it is, the finished project in its new location. We decided to put it right here because it's conveniently in the barnyard, right here with the chicks in the chick coop. So it's nice and easy to get to. And I will give you the grand tour of the double-decker rabbit duplex. I should have maybe put those a little higher so we avoided toddler feeding, but the bunnies are friendly and they love it. So we've got these front doors here that were originally going to be windows. Hi, Shadow. Which makes it easy to put food and water in here for them. Then they have their ramp and their door to get in. On the other side, same thing. He has a water bottle because he flicks his dish everywhere. There's Franklin. So he has his door over there, his ramp here, and his bowl full of treats. All right, Joe, let's close it. In the bottom, we filled it with hay. Hay is easy to clean out because all the droppings are falling there, and it'll also help absorb some. On the ends, drops down, filled it full of hay for her. When it's time, in a couple weeks, she'll start building a nest in here, so that'll be perfect. Super easy for me to open, to have a peek and see what's going on in here. Should make kit season way more convenient. Then this just has the screw here to open that down for the ramp to clean it all out. And then on the other side, Franklin will only temporarily be here till our other female arrives, but for now it's nice to have both rabbits in one location. Same thing, drop down, hay for him in there. I'm trying to avoid him being in the nest box spot. So it should be super easy to get in and out of when the time comes. Again, his just has the 2 screws to access the bottom ramp to move it all out. And that is it. That is our double-decker rabbit hutch. Thank you all so much for watching. I realized when I was going through all of the film that there was some parts and pieces that got missed just in the busyness of the crazy week we had assembling this whole project. So if you have any questions, please feel free to comment them below. We would be happy to get back to you and explain any missing details that we might have missed that you were interested in. As always, make sure you subscribe to our channel so that you can keep up to date on our farm and everything we are up to. We'll see you guys next week.